Oh,
Welcome to
indeed.
the John Jay College of Criminal Justice Graduate Power Interview Series. I am Ms. Purdie, Director of Undergraduate Student Services for the Department of Public Management. Here with me today is Professor Patrice Schiano-Dial, Coordinator of the Fraud Examination and Financial Forensics major, and Alyssa Nunziato, a 2021 alumni who graduated with a BS in Fraud Examination and Financial Forensics. And I'm going to call it FEFF for short. Um, Alyssa was also the class valedictorian of 2021. Yay, Alyssa! Again, welcome to both of you. I will begin our conversation today with you, Professor Schiano-Dial. Tell us about yourself and what motivated you to leave an illustrious career to come to John Jay to serve as the coordinator of the FEFF major, and how you like it here at John Jay.
Well, thank you, Miss Purdy. I love it. And as Miss Purdy mentioned, my name is Patrice Schiano, and I'm a doctoral lecturer here at John Jay. And so she also mentioned I'm the program coordinator for our FEFF major. And so a little bit of an interesting thing about me, I actually came to John Jay during the pandemic. And actually, Alyssa was one of my students during that time period. Uh,
Mhm.
and um, and so before that, I actually had a long career, as you mentioned, in forensic accounting. And I have devoted most of my professional career to investigation, something I'm very, very passionate about. And I started out as an auditor at one of the big firms, which gave me a really good foundation for investigation. And over my career, I have conducted investigations for another big accounting firm in their business fraud and investigative services practice. From there, I participated in corporate investigations, including restatement cases and cases that involve fraud. And then from there, I went to the FBI and I conducted national security investigations. And then I wound up working for a large multinational bank in their global internal investigations group, conducting cross-border investigations. And I loved it, but now I really love sharing what I've learned over my career with my students, especially students like Alyssa. There's no bitter joy of sharing what I've learned, especially here at John Jay, because the mission of John Jay is so important to me, right? Justice, and making sure that the laws are equally applied. And I kind of hope that my students take that from me and do great things because I know that they're capable.
Great. Thank you for that. Now, Alyssa, you graduated in 2021. You were valedictorian. What have you done since that time?
So I actually went to Baruch College after my time at John Jay for a Master's of Science in Accounting. And I graduated from that in 2023, so it's about 2 years. And currently I'm working as a staff too at EY, Ernst Young, in their forensic and integrity services practice.
Wonderful, wonderful. And were you an intern? Did you do an internship with Ernst Young before you graduated?
Yeah, so the summer before I graduated, I did an internship with them, and then it just kind of solidified that forensics was really what I want to do with my career.
Great, thank you. Professor Shiano Dow, could you share with us some information about the composition of the students that are in the fraud examination and financial forensics major at John Jay?
Sure, I would be more than happy to. Our FEFF program currently has about 200 students. And since we're part of CUNY, as most people know, our students come from pretty diverse backgrounds. We have a mix of full-time students and part-time students. Many students are first in their family to attend college or come from challenging economic circumstances. And so many of our students have to actually put themselves through school. So they attend either full-time or part-time, depending on their needs. And many of our students come to John Jay actually having never heard of forensic accounting. And so we do get a significant number of students that wind up taking our Introduction to Accounting class. And then when they learn a little bit about our program, they decide to change their major maybe. We also get students who transfer from other CUNY programs. And since this is John Jay College of Criminal Justice, our program emphasizes the use of books and records as a means of uncovering facts and using those facts to hold people accountable. And some of my students wind up pursuing a legal degree, or like Alyssa, they wind up going to on for an advanced accounting degree. So they maybe decide to go and sit for the Certified Public Accounting exam, which is the premier credential to have if you're pursuing a career in forensic accounting. In terms of career opportunities, many of the students go on to work for government agencies, regulators, law enforcement. And since we're physically located in New York, which is arguably the financial capital of the world, some of our students find opportunities with banks working in anti-money laundering or other types of compliance roles. Now, for exceptional students like Alyssa, they actually may go on to work for one of the big accounting firms like EY.
Yes, and Alyssa, now that you at EY and had a chance to think about the degree that you earned from John Jay in the FEFF, what stands out the most to you about your degree?
I would definitely say how specialized it is and specific to kind of exactly what I'm doing right now in my career. I think forensics tends to be a practice that is either not known or not a lot is known about. And it kind of stands out on its own compared to other practices due to the varied work we do and the diverse backgrounds of the people working within forensics. So some people I work with don't even have backgrounds in accounting. Sometimes it's politics, it's local, state, or federal governments, or they come in from a specific industry with knowledge. While I am qualified to sit for the CPA, I don't need it. And there are other credentials I can have to further my career just as equally. So I'm thinking like the CFE, which you don't really see in parts of other accounting like audit or tax. So John Jay not only made me aware of forensics as a practice, but also prepared me to be knowledgeable compared to my peers that are coming in from pure accounting degrees and backgrounds. So rather than coming in from a different part of accounting or having a pure accounting background and learning the skills as I go, I'm coming in with the skill sets already and a forensics focused state of mind for doing my work.
So when you were a beginning college student and you were given a whole list of majors to choose from, what was it that drew you to this particular major?
I was definitely a degree jumper. My time at John Jay, I want to say I did like 3 different majors before I landed on fraud examination. And I think for me, what made me do it was the combination of law and also like business practices. I think a lot of our degrees are focused in like criminal justice and law, and that's what a lot of students tend to do. But I wasn't finding a niche part of that in those courses for me where I was like, what can I do long term? I wanted to be a lawyer, and then that didn't work out. And then I was like, I'll be a computer scientist, and then that didn't work out. So I tried my luck at the accounting intro course, and I ended up really liking that, the structure of it and the rules, and like, it's very set what is supposed to be done and how the rules you're supposed to follow, and that really intrigued me. So for me, it was the perfect mixture of law and accounting and business. It was that perfect intersection for me.
Great. Professor Schiano, what are some of the challenges that students face with this major or in college period?
Sure. As I may have mentioned, many of our students work and have to pay their way through school. So it's challenging to manage their time since they may have work commitments, family commitments, or other scheduling challenges. And New York is a busy place, right? So I would say that our program is rigorous. Accounting is not easy. And sometimes students don't understand the level of work and commitment it takes to earn this degree. Students who want to be successful in this program, they really need to understand that to be successful, they need attention to detail and understand that basic accounting courses are foundational. Sometimes they just want to go to the sexy stuff because they hear forensic, but it's they have to understand accounting basics. And I actually liken it to learning how to walk before you can run. So sometimes it's not so interesting on how you get there, but you have to get there. So it takes practice and discipline. And I think that's sometimes a challenge for students who are new to college.
Right. Alyssa, would you agree with some of that? What were some of the challenges that you faced when you were going through the program?
I definitely agree with that. I think for me, I was, like I said, a major jumper. But honestly, I think the most challenging part was focusing in on exactly what I wanted to do as a forensic professional. What I loved about the major was that you can try so many different things, whether that's accounting, economics, law. Like we had a forensics discovery course in digital forensics. But what stood out to me most was those related to economics and law. And so with John Jay's advocacy for public service, I found that the work that means the most to me is that where I can see an impact or I feel like I'm giving back, which is why I think I really enjoy doing the work I do now, which is related to insurance and federal claim services.
Excellent, excellent. Professor Schiano, what skills and knowledge do students obtain in this major?
Okay, well, I have to kind of tell you that our website says our program provides an interdisciplinary program of study that seeks to integrate knowledge of accounting with law, criminal, civil, and social justice, and related disciplines. And actually, I think that backs up Alyssa's statements so far. It is multidisciplinary. And it sounds great, but truly the program is so much more, I think. Not only do students get basic accounting skills, which in and of itself is a marketable skill, right? But that is just foundation. Students learn to think about accounting records as evidence. They use this evidence to discern truth from fiction. They understand the value of truth and the importance of holding people accountable, right? Companies don't do bad things, people do, right? So I think that it's really important that our students get a grasp on how to organize facts and data to support their findings and maybe assess credibility. That's something that they will learn. And then when students get to our FEFF seminar class their senior year, they put all of that together, including what they've learned in terms of technology tools, including Excel, to help them to tell a story. And they learn how to communicate the who, when, where, how, and as accountants, sometimes the most important is the how much. Again, that was kind of accounting humor, so forgive me. But really, findings are important. But if you're unable to communicate your findings, then what good is an investigation? So all of these skills are so important, not only in forensic accounting, but I would say life as well. So I think our program is pretty special, and I'm really proud to be teaching there. And I'm really proud to, like I said, teach students like Alyssa.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Alyssa, what do you know now that you wish you knew prior to applying and becoming an FEFF student or receiving?
Um, yeah, I think for me, it was how prepared I would be for my forensics role. I think when you're coming into firms like the Big Four, mid-size, even small size, it can be very intimidating when you're surrounded by people who have traditional accounting degrees, and are very driven to do the CPA and like that's their main focus. Whereas sometimes I felt like, oh my goodness, like my degree is too specialized. Like I am at a disadvantage to other students, which I think now is definitely not true. For forensics, I think it was like the perfect degree and perfectly balanced as well with what I was learning. And I found that like I wasn't as appreciative of it when I was in it, but now that I'm out of it, I'm very thankful for my degree and how it just really taught us that forensics focused state of mind of being speculative, looking for the facts, being able to form opinions and state facts based on your findings. I think all of that really was perfect to get me where I am now.
Great, thank you, Professor Schiano. What are some of the jobs and careers that students pursue once they have a degree for the FEFF program?
Sure. As I mentioned, many of our students go on to work for government agencies, regulators, law enforcement, accounting firms like Alyssa, as well as the banks. It really is a blessing to be located here in New York City, because I think that we have opportunities that maybe other places don't have in terms of these careers. So I would also like to mention that we do have a really good career lab. They typically hold 2 career fairs a year. We have a lot of employers that come in, and so they get to know our students. And we also help our students get ready for the transition to the real world by helping them with mock interviews, resume writing. We've also seen this past year, as a matter of fact, certain agencies like the IRS or maybe the National Futures Association really seek out our students. So seeing more and more of that. Some prosecutors' offices also are very interested in our students. And we're very good too, because in some cases we are able to offer our students internships for these employers, and that kind of gets them, their foot in the door, so to speak. So it's really not unlimited in terms of what different companies or agencies that our students do wind up in. It really is, who is looking for people to do investigation, especially white collar types of investigation. And so, it's really skills based, and they can find their path accordingly.
Great, thank you. Alyssa, in your current position at Ernst Young, are you in a position to hire new graduates or recommend students for internships?
Not currently, but I have been trying to reach out with recruiting efforts, especially with John Jay. I've done some recruiting events for NYU and Baruch, doing things like mock interview events. I think the farthest I can get is being like, hey, the student really stood out to me. But beyond that, unfortunately, no.
If you were in a position to recommend a student, what skills or knowledge would you suggest that that student have in order to secure a position with Ernst Young?
I would definitely say for sure adaptability. I would say a high regard for justice, and CFE related knowledge. I think John Jay did a great job of giving us knowledge in various areas, which I believe now allows me to take on different work and be able to adapt or learn quickly. A high regard for justice shows me that there is a degree of caring and morality there, which really comes into play for forensics work related to integrity, like what I'm doing now. And overall, as forensic professionals, we really are checking and making sure that people are doing the right thing at the end of the day. CFE related knowledge is also so important, as it's an interchangeable credential, at least here at EY with the CPA for reaching manager and above. And it also teaches us to have a degree of skepticism, as I've mentioned before, when reviewing work for clients, which I think is important for our work, where we really are trying to find out, are they doing the right thing? Is everything being done correctly? And then can we see facts based on that?
Great, thank you. Professor Schiano, for students who are considering the FEFF major, what would you ask them in terms of if they wanted to major in this subject?
Well, I would say to anybody looking to decide on a career path, what do you like to do, right? If you don't like attention to detail, well, then I would say maybe forensic accounting wouldn't be your thing, right? So again, I think that for students who are interested in the program, they have to be disciplined, because accounting is a discipline. Maybe you don't need it as much as someone who's going to sit for their CPA, like Alyssa mentioned. Maybe you do want to go more towards a certified fraud examiner type of credential, right? But either way, credentials are very important because forensic accountants many times may have to testify. So again, you have to be pretty much above board in terms of your ethics and your desire to hold people accountable. How can you hold people accountable if you yourself are not? So again, you just have to have discipline. You have to like organization. Maybe even if you like putting together the pieces of a puzzle, right? Because sometimes you get facts and you don't understand how they all fit together. But you have to have patience to want to do that. So, I think that, you really kind of have to have the desire to do that. It's not a fluffy exam. It's kind of sequential. You have to take your foundational accounting class, then you take your next accounting. It all builds on each other, and eventually you get there. I don't know, Alyssa, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think for me, and I guess this is more general, is just to always be yourself and not be afraid to show up in spaces where you may not relate as well or you took a different path to get to the same place. I truly believe that John Jay helped me become a well-rounded person and is a place that really encourages individuality and growth. Interviews related to forensics, in my experience, have always been personality based. So they want to see what can you specifically bring. What can you work well with others? Are you able to adapt? Are you willing to learn? And so on. They don't want to hear the same rehearsed answers that everyone else is giving. Authenticity is important, and I believe it can get you far in any field you choose to work in. So I always say show up as yourself, so others can also be encouraged to do the same. And that's truly where I think the strength and positive progress happens is in diversity and authenticity.
Alyssa, while you were a student here at John Jay, did you participate in any clubs or any other extracurricular activities that might have helped you in your future career?
Yes, so I was part of Leading Women for Tomorrow. I was part of the executive board, and that's a more um, law-focused group. So I did do that a bit, especially it was nice because my friends were also on the executive board. I was also part of Alpha, which was really helpful with getting me to do networking careers in accounting. Truthfully, I didn't know anything about the Big Four before taking like my intro to accounting course or anything like that. Like I had no knowledge of this whole world. And now I'm a part of it, which is interesting. And I also was a student peer advisor for 3 years at John Jay, some time after when I graduated as well. And it was such a joy. It really gave me those personable skills and conversation skills so that when I get to interviews, like I am showing up as myself. I am being honest and um, I can have quality conversations with people. And so that really was a joy for me at John Jay.
Thank you. One last thing before we close out our interview. Alyssa, if you could give just one piece of advice, what would that be to a new prospective student?
Sorry, the lights turned off. Um, but definitely just that piece about authenticity again. I think shoot your shot, I guess. Don't say no to anything. Take as many opportunities as you can. I know through Professor Schiano, she posted on our Blackboard about an interview with the Department of Health and Human Services. I actually did that for a few months, and then I had randomly applied, honestly, to my forensics internship. I didn't think I was going to get it. I was like, this HHS internship goes into a full-time role after 2 years, so I basically have a full-time job. But I went through the interview process, which I didn't think I was going to get. And I ended up getting the forensics internship role. And I told myself, like, I can't say no to this. I have to try it. I have to try different things. I had been at a bank before. I had then done the HHS thing, so that I felt like the last piece for me was getting that public accounting experience. And then from there, I really realized like this is where I want to be. This is where I'm getting the broadest range of work and outreach. And so it's where I plan to stay as well, hopefully.
Great, thank you. I want to thank both Professor Schiano and Alyssa for their insights into the fraud examination and financial forensics major, FEFF as we call it. Alyssa, I want to let you know that you certainly have made our major program proud. We're really proud of you and want to follow your career. And please stay in touch with us. Please, everyone, stay tuned. The next time we have an interview, it will be with a student who has a dual degree, BS MPA. Again, I want to thank our two interviewees tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Purdie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Anytime.